Good morning, lovely souls. Happy Friday. It's the 8th of July, which means that we have officially moved to the other side of the Sirius portal. Now, I felt the portal open on the 2nd. Its official date, in Earth terms, was from the 3rd to the 7th. Now, I'll be honest, in the past, this particular alignment has just kind of sailed over the top of my head, kind of, metaphorically as well as physically. Now, for those of you that know Sirius is one of our spiritual sons. Okay, so on this particular occasion, the son of Sirius aligned very much with our planet, our dimension, what we're doing. And it does this every year. And from that point onwards, we're then kind of launched into we're in the run up to the Lionsgate now. We're in that pocket of energy, that window of energy. So just as you think the solstice has brought things up and made them available to deal with, we then have the Sirius portal. Now this year, it came in at a very different frequency. Last night I did a wonderful workshop with my good friend Alice Heath, and we were working with the Temple of the One True Light in Atlantis. Now, the Temple of the One True Light was one of the major temples. It was one that kind of featured not just in the fifth dimensional aspect of Golden Atlantis, but also throughout the other eras as well. Very high frequency with advanced technology, and was always linked into the highest aspects of the cosmos. So it was bringing in, deliberately in some cases, the highest frequency cosmic light and information. And last night during this visualization, I could clearly see the sun of Sirius with its very bright white blue light aligned with the top of the pyramid. And the upgrades that we received during the visualization, during the work that we were doing last night, were incredible. Almost like a complete re-encoding of the golden light that passes down our Antakarana bridge from our higher selves into our bodies to then be integrated. So this wasn't just your normal, everyday, yearly occurrence. This was big. This was next level, and of course, everything that we're doing this year is bigger and next level. And we can tell this usually by the quality of the situations that we're working through. Not just the quality, but the quantity. So I've touched upon this subject previously. We have, back in the previous years, we would have engaged with something called shadow work. And as soon as I mention that word, I can hear the collective groans, like, oh, shadow work, no, keep it away from me. I mean, let's be honest, who goes out of their way to do shadow work deliberately? I know I didn't. It was like, nah, I don't have to do that. I'll just throw a bit of violet flame at it, hope it goes away kind of thing. But shadow work has become increasingly important. Okay, so for those of you that aren't familiar with the term, shadow work is actively working through the aspects of our personalities and our past, both this incarnation and previous incarnation, that have remained completely hidden, aspects of us that affect how we deal with our everyday reality, triggers, pitfalls, the little kind of like the invisible wires that are kind of threaded through our everyday lives, that when we trigger them, throw up aspects of us that have been bottled away, and then we project these outwards into our everyday life as an aspect of our personality. So in order to clear this, because a lot of the time when we project these personalities out, they come from a place of ego, or a place of anger, or a place of hurt, something that we've hidden away, that we didn't want to witness and we didn't want to deal with. And so it is now a functional necessity for us to deal with this stuff. And Whereas before, we were deliberately looking for these things. If we were walking our talk, and we were really determined to work upon ourselves, this is stuff that is, you deliberately seek out and you work upon. But now the situation, or this particular situation, has changed. The light that is coming in is so high frequency, it is so bright, it is so fine, and of a Christed level, a universal Christed level, that it automatically reveals the shadows wherever they're hiding within our physical, mental, emotional and spiritual fields. They've been tucked away for thousands of years and repeat themselves karmically and on a soul personality level. So they've become very, very ingrained. They've been cycled within our reincarnations. And of course the buck stops here. The buck stops with this. This is our master incarnation. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, this is your master incarnation. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be tuning in unless you were looking for a page for IKEA or something and stumbled across my page completely by accident, and you don't know what I'm talking about. So, if you're actively seeking, if you're actively on the ascension pathway at the moment, no matter where you are in regards to, like working upon yourself, this is your master incarnation. You will be given the opportunities, the tools and the upgrades to step up. Sometimes, under your own steam, sometimes more drastically. And within this incredible upsurge or rise in shadow work that we're doing, and we're seeing this within the fields of everybody around us, we're seeing it within our everyday interactions, the shadows are so visible now. And when we are faced with the shadow aspect of somebody else, quite often this is the trigger that brings our own to the surface. But one thing that is really interesting that has come on my radar recently is interpersonal situations between people. Now, this can either be an interpersonal relationship between two people, say friends or a partner, or it can be an interpersonal relationship or situation between a bigger group. Say you work in an office or a hospital, and there's 10 of you that interact regularly. All of those interactions and emotions and words and vibrations and scenarios are all placed into kind of like a pool or a group or a community energy. And I've been tuning into this recently because people create these scenarios amongst themselves, and it's described to me as the Glass Akash, almost realms within realms of our own everyday lives and situations, where people create a version of reality amongst themselves. And within that realm or Glass Akash, there will be a version of each other's reality or version of each other's personality that is exclusive for that realm. And at the moment, these are coming up for clearance. So you might have a relationship with somebody that you've known, say, since you were very young. You've grown up, you've been friends, you've had these constant interactions and situations occurring, and all of them get put into this room, this Glass Akash, this personalized realm. And it affects how we deal, or you will deal with these people, this person, on an everyday basis. So you might have one set of interactions with one person, a completely different version of you, and then you will go back to this other situation or this scenario, become engaged with it, and automatically that version of personality becomes available because you've worked on it, you've placed all this energy into it, you've invested upon it. And because a lot of these interactions have been done at a lower frequency, they've been done from not necessarily a heart-based perspective, although, you know, it might be 50-50, it might be 75%, 25%, it might have been a loving and beneficial relationship, or it might have been very dramatic and stressful. It might be something that you've been investing in continuously as part of your lesson plan, that's built and grown its own realm or room on its own volition, and all of a sudden these are beginning to become very visible to people, and they are up for release, and they are breaking down rapidly. Now, this isn't a new concept. This is a concept that has been bandied around within other healing modalities for quite a while, and a lot of people are aware of it. But I think because it is coming up for full release at the moment, or full healing, or full integration, it's something that we should all be increasingly aware of, that a lot of the reactions that you might have with other people are due to invested energy that you have placed into the situation previously. And this is the key, I think, to heart-based interaction, the heart-based living, is becoming aware of what we put into situations and how the previous interactions are now currently affecting us. So in order to take responsibility and fully step up, self-awareness is key. Be aware that some of the interactions that you may have been engaged in previously were of a lower frequency vibration. They might have come from a point of ego, a point of stress, a point of being triggered. And when you know and you are aware of this, the functional awareness of it becomes key to the healing. And when you heal these aspects of you, and you forgive, release, and ultimately let go of the proposed hurts and situations that other people have engaged with you, and you know, in many situations we might be coming from a point of victim, you know, like you've genuinely been through unpleasant and harmful scenarios where another person has gone out of their way to hurt you. And there's no amount of kind of spiritual sugary pills that takes those situations away. They're real. They've happened. They've happened to me. They've happened to you. Some people have gone through some incredibly stressful pathways in order to get to the point of self-mastery with which they are engaging their ascension pathway now. There's always the term that I always remember, and I've said it to people over the years, and I've also applied it to myself as well. The highest callings, the highest frequency pathways, the pathways of the most responsibility, are usually the ones that have been extremely challenging to achieve. So if you are feeling at the moment like you have been drilled repeatedly, like you are just going through endless cycles of tests and pain and repetitive patterning, now is the time to start reclaiming or claiming your freedom from these situations. And that can't be done by just simply ignoring everything so that it goes away. You know, there's the old pitfall of the spiritual bypassing, where you know, you make these excuses and use spiritual facilities to kind of disengage from actions that need attention. And so awareness again is key. Self-awareness, awareness of where others are on their ascension pathway. And particularly between now and the Lionsgate, these situations, these kind of recently created, and I'll say, like, the term was given to me, Glass Akash, of group scenarios. And a group can be two people. Okay, it's very rare that you'll ever have this interaction with yourself. It has to be it has to be the creation has to be from multiple energies. So these will happen. It can happen in a school classroom. You can be in a school year, and you can have one lesson, and that will have its own little it'll have its own little kind of bandwidth or realm of energy, and all of these energies are put in. There's so many of them that it would be easy to be overwhelmed by looking. So we're not going to look at the individual stuff until it presents itself. But when it does, become aware, okay? Be aware of what your triggers are. Be aware of who's triggered it, why it's possibly triggered. Take some responsibility for the situation and start looking at the energy threads that make up all of the interactions that we are having with other people. Okay, because this is going to increase and grow over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. So I've been doing a lot of clearing recently, especially in the throat, and especially last night. So as we were last year, we're being asked to do some serious housework between now and the Lionsgate. Last year I can remember clearly being told, you must leave as much as you possibly can at the doorstep, at the threshold, before stepping through. Now you might think, well, we've just stepped through the solstice gateway, which was an incredible jump in energy. It was a jump in energy that was so high that it took a couple of weeks, or we're still recalibrating now. We're still re-engaging with this new platform of energy, this new reality that we've got. And this happens on a regular basis, but it doesn't happen we haven't jumped as far as we've jumped this time in such a short space of time before. So what was I saying? Sorry, there'll be a quick break in the video. Yeah, we've not jumped that far in such a short space of time previously. So we're all now at this point reintegrating with the energy. We are finding different ways to flow with this quantity of light that's coming in. And I mentioned it last night in the workshop, and I'm very, very pleased to see it, that a lot of people are saying, okay, I'm going to step back a little bit this July. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to actually take time for myself. I'm going to take time to integrate. I'm going to take time to maybe let my body rest, let my soul rest, engage with situations that are happy and pleasurable, are grounding, and ultimately allowing all of this light that we are receiving to integrate. Because when we come to the Lionsgate, there will be another huge shift, and I've mentioned this, but David Esser and I have mentioned it in the workshop that we did together on the solstice. It's the end of the storm layer. Okay, now the storm layer is the 3-year period where this huge, almost cyclone of alchemical energy was whirling around our planet, drawing in all the lower frequency stuff. So with this huge clearance, we've also now come to a point where everything is down tuning, okay? But paradoxically, as that is down tuning, the light is rising. We've been offered, and we are being very much encouraged to accept this higher timeline. No ifs, no buts. We've already signed the Ascension contract. All we got to do is acknowledge this and step up. Now, stepping up is the hardest part of stepping up is accepting the mantle of responsibility we have. And it's a big responsibility. When we step out as teachers, as leaders, as anybody who's working with the light on the Ascension pathway, we are automatically in a position of responsibility for those around us. We might not feel responsible, but we are light leaders. So the frequency that we carry, the coding that we've received, is the trigger for others to step up to that frequency. And the old term always rings around my head: with great power comes great responsibility. And ultimately, I think that responsibility lies in being aware of our actions and our reactions, the words that we speak, the vibrations that we send out. And so this Glass Akash, the realms that are affecting people's patterns of behaviour, reactions, responsibilities, ultimately, to everyone and everything around at the moment, are very much being brought into view, crystal clear view. So the old interactions that you had with people, these will be filled with previous versions of how you used to explain yourself, how you used to speak, how you used to say hello and goodbye, how you would project your personality in that particular situation. You are no longer that version of yourself, okay? You might feel like it, you might even feel less of a version of yourself than you might have been 2 or 3 years ago because you've been through so many tests, but you are now a much higher version than you were previously. That is simply the way that this planet is going at the moment. It's never at any point on this ascension pathway will you feel more in the mix, okay? Because there are so many different energies at play simultaneously. 3D, 4D, 5D, all the clearing, all the shadow work, all of the high frequency light coming in, the incredible display from 3D, which is increasing in volume and visibility as they are attempting to distract and draw people's attention to situations, to scenarios. And a lot of it is simply, it's no longer a game to them, okay? They are very, very aware that we are completely on our own trajectory, okay? We have chosen to step up. So anything that they're doing in the third dimension at the moment, if it is concerned with the maintenance of 3D matrix, is damage limitation. Now all they're trying to do is sustain and survive. And as we unplug, the power and the energy that was ultimately the food and the fuel is diminishing. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And of course, if we've got no triggers and no cords, hooks, plugs and attachments still remaining in that space, then we are free to go about our everyday business. And that comes down to our personal responsibility for ourselves. So awareness is key, okay? Awareness and self-responsibility. Awareness of all of our interactions. Awareness of where the triggers lie, what's setting us off, what might be pushing the buttons for that particular volume of spiritual competition, or the things that have been really riling us about another person or a group of people. And when you bring everything back to a heart-centered vibration and you can see clearly what it is, where it comes from, ultimately the healing begins, okay? So this is it. We are now on our way to the Lionsgate, and funny enough, none of us really know what is in store for us at this particular event. Whatever it is, it's going to be big because it's the Lionsgate. So there you go. And on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. And I wish you all the most beautiful weekend. And I will see you again soon. Sending you all lots of love. Bye for now.